Jai Mupanande. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Agyantiram Dasya Ganam Jala Sharakaya Chakshumilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manubhishtam Savitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupam Kadamayam Dadati Swapadam Tikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Tathavanam Shri Guru Vaishnava Shri Rupa Sagrajatam Sahagalam Raghunatam Samitam Vedam Sadatam Vajana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shiva Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagapate Gopayakadam Sadakam Namaste Tapta Kamsale Gaurangi Rai Devi Sari Vishadu Sute Devi Kanani Hari Kiye Vanchakalpatarugascha Kripasindu Vecha Patitanam Pavanabhyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivastava Ramanavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Srimad Bhagavatam 8:22. 22. So, who doesn't speak English? Qui ne parle pas anglais? C'est-il des vous qui parlent pas anglais dessus? Everyone speaks.
Everyone speaks English.
Okay, 8:22. Bali Maharaj surrenders his life. Krishna te anena datha bhu. Krishna te nena datha bhu. Loka kamajitas. Actually, it's kamajitas cha. Ye loka kamajitas cha ye. Niveditam cha savasvam. Niveditam cha savasvam. Atma adiklavaya diya. Atma viklavaya diya. Krishna te ninadata bhu. Loka kamajitas chaye. Niveditam cha savasvam. Atma viklavaya diya. Krishna te ninadata bhu. Loka kamajitas chaye. Niveditam cha savasvam. Atma viklavaya diya. Please.
Krishna te nena databur. Loka karmajita shaye. Nirveditam cha sarvasvam. Atma viklavaya diya.
tenena databhu.
Krishna tenena databur.
Loka karma rhitaschaye.
Loka karma jidasvaye.
Niveditam cha sarvasva.
Niveditam cha sarvasva.
Atma vikavayadiya.
Atma vikavayadiya. Krishna tenena databur. Loka karma jidasvaye. Niveditam cha sarvasvam. Atma vikavayadiya. Krishna tenena databur. Loka karma jidasvaye. Niveditam cha sarvasvam. Atma vikavayadiya.
Yes, word to word. Krishna,
Krishna,
all,
all,
te, unto you.
unto you,
Anena,
Anena,
by Mani Maharaj.
by Mani Maharaj,
Datha,
Datha,
have been given or returned.
given or returned,
Bhuloka,
Bhuloka,
all land and all planets.
all land and all planets,
Karma Jita Cha,
Karma
whatever he achieved by his pious activities.
whatever he achieved by pious activities,
Ye,
yea,
all which.
all which,
Niveditam Cha,
Niveditam cha.
has been offered to you.
be offered to you,
Sarvasvam,
Sarvasvam.
everything you possess.
everything is possessed,
Atma,
Atma.
even his body.
even his body,
Aviklavaya,
Avikavaya.
without hesitation.
without hesitation,
Diya,
Diya.
by such intelligence.
by such intelligence.
Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Bali Maharaj had already offered everything to your lordship. Without hesitation, he has offered his land, the planets, and whatever else he earned by his pious activities, including even his own body. Luke 4:23. Yat padayo asatadi saridam pradayam dhuvam kururapi nidhaya satim sapayam apyutamam gatimaso bhajate trilokam tajvan naviklavamana katamartim riche. Translation: by offering even water, newly grown grass, or flower beds at your lotus feet, those who maintain no mental duplicity can achieve the most exalted position within the spiritual world. This Bali Maharaj, without duplicity, has now offered everything in the three worlds. How then can he deserve to suffer from arrest? Purport. In Bhagavad Gita 9:26, it is stated, Atram pushpam phalam toyam yumi bhaktya prayachati tadaham bhakti paritam ashnani piratat manaha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is so kind that if an unsophisticated person with devotion and without duplicity offers at the lotus feet of the Lord a little water, a flower, a fruit, or a leaf, the Lord accepts it. Then the devotee is promoted to Vaikuntha, the spiritual world. Brahma drew the Lord's attention to this subject and requested that he release Bali Maharaj, who was suffering from being bound by the ropes of Varun, and who had already given everything, including the three worlds and whatever he possessed. So this is Lord Brahma speaking here. So just to recap, Bali Maharaj surrenders his life. Yeah. So first of all, we have come to a stage where the Lord is very pleased by Bali, by the behavior. Yeah. So whatever happens after the Lord's pleasure is all good. This is basically everything that happens after his pleasure is all good. Whatever form it may take. Here we may say, well, the Lord is bound, Bali Maharaj is bound. He's tied up. So it doesn't look good. An outsider may come, look at him, he must have done some heavy sin, heavy activities. No, because whatever it takes, whatever it appears, may actually be totally wrong. In the sense that he has already pleased the Lord, so everything has turned out to be excellent. So not only he pleased the Lord, he got his own planet, Sutal. Actually, this planet was specifically given to Bali Maharaj as a reward. And not only that, what did Lord Brahmanda do in terms of what did he do? He offered himself as a doorman, a gatekeeper. So we can see we should not judge by externals. Apparently he was Manda, but it goes much further than that. So Bali Maharaj was extremely truthful. He kept his word. That's a very important point. He was adamant on keeping his word. So once we have given our word, we should fulfill it, whatever it takes. And he was under the impression he could not keep his word. Because, remember, the Harivamsh explained that, it's a book, Harivamsh, explained that in his first step, the sun and the moon were already on the level of the knee of the Lord. In his second step, the moon and the sun were already on his chest level. And in his third step, the moon and the sun were below his foot. So just imagine how much he has extended his body. So apparently, it looked like Bali was under the impression, I cannot fulfill my word because where should he put his third step? But actually, he managed to keep his word. What did he do? In order to fulfill his promise, he gave his own head. So this is the very expression of surrender. When you fall short in your activities, let's say you fall short, then what else do you have to do to make up for this loss? You have to offer yourself. Then by offering yourself, it fits the bill. Whatever shortcomings may have been present in terms of faults, if you surrender yourself, you bypass all other considerations. This is what Bali Maharaj did here. Because he surrendered himself, he felt very much at ease with himself and with the situation. Even though he got defamed, he lost his reputation, he lost everything, he was bound up, so he was humiliated. But he agreed with great pleasure all these things because he had surrendered himself. So once we have surrendered ourselves, basically everything is behind. Whatever is ahead of us looks good. So Bali Maharaj He was an Asura, but because of his enmity, it's quite interesting also to note that because of his enmity towards Vishnu, he had achieved a destination more exalted than that of many of mystic yogis. So how could it be? How can you achieve something beyond mystic yogis if you nourish some enmity towards the Lord? That's the first question. So would you like to share some thoughts with this? How can we achieve something more glorious than the mystic, your great yogis, if you nourish an enmity towards the Lord? Yes, Krishna Prasthana Mataji.
Is it because you're in constant meditation
Yes.
with the Lord? And whereas the mystic yogis, they're not focusing on the Lord, they're focusing on the oneness.
Yes. In the seventh canto, I believe it's Narad speaking to Yudhishthira Maharaj, it says that whatever mood you have, parental love, conjugal love, neutrality, Narad Muni himself considers himself on the Shantaras. So whatever the mood you have, Narad is making the point to Yudhishthira. Could be neutrality, could be enmity, could be lust, apparent lust, actually it's love, prema. You benefit. Even if you want to kill the Lord, of course it's practical, it's unfavorable, definitely. But still there is some benefit. This is the all-merciful nature of the Lord. And Shishupal was the epitome of this. He hurled 100 insults to Lord Krishna. Krishna was keeping aloof. 101, beheaded. So, but still he benefited. He actually emerged within the radiance of the Lord. But other asuras like Putana, Ahobakiyam, Stana Kalakutam, Jigam Shapayapya Sarhi. Buddha is saying, she approached him she put Kalkut on her breast. Kalkut means cobra. Cobra, what do you call it? Poison. Kalkut, venom. You can imagine what kind of favorableness is this? But that tree, she got the position of that tree. That tree means nurse in the spiritual world, next to Mother Yashoda, because Lord Krishna took the maternal attitude of her. So whichever mood, or whichever position you approach the Lord, whichever intent, you benefit. Of course, we have to draw drastic demarcation line between the destination of the devotees and the destination of the enemies. If already the enemies benefit tremendously, what to speak of the devotee? So Bali Maharaj benefited greatly. And what happened is Bali Maharaj remembered he was stuck. As we say commonly, he was stuck in the mud. He lost everything. He lost the three worlds. Remember, he had conquered the three worlds. He had defeated Indradev. He got humiliated, bound up, humiliated by his own wife, practically. But what did he do? In his mind, he took shelter of his grandfather, who is Prahlad. So this is great rescue, and to take shelter of a devotee in the mind. In the mind you can do, because he's totally tied up. What can he do? So he remembered the determination of Prahlad Maharaj. I'm nothing compared to Prahlad Maharaj. Prahlad Maharaj was put into such a predicament, thrown off the cliff, put in boiling oil, trampled, attempted to be trampled by elephants. I mean, it's even worse than that. So he remembered that. Srila Prabhupada used to always meditate on the activities of Prahlad Maharaj. Of all the leelas depicted in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also was very fond of Prahlad Maharaj Lila, as well as Srila Prabhupada. The determination of Prahlad in devotional service. So, considering all these points in his mind, Balit decided to give his own life, give his own head for the third step. His own head in charity. And by that very move, even though he was in Dutch, he was quite in a severe predicament, he lost everything. So apparently he looks extremely inauspicious, but because he surrendered to Lord, everything tilted over the other side. So Bali Maharaj was quite meditative as a person. He understood this point. He considered how great personalities gave up in the past their family relationship. And Yasya, what is that verse? Yasya Haman Vinami Harisheta Danamashane. He considered that point very deeply. Maharaj Yudhishthira is asking Lord Krishna in the 10th canto, 1088:8. Why are we always suffering calamities? After all, we are cousin brothers. I mean, that's quite close. To be cousin brother with Lord Krishna. So he's asking this question to Yudhishthira Maharaj. Why so many calamities? Day in, day out. Lord Krishna replied, Yasyaham manugrinami harishita. When I show my real mercy, I deprive the candidate of any possessions. So he has no choice but to surrender. So that is why there's different level. Huh? In the Gita, Krishna says, I protect what you have, I preserve what you have, I provide what you need. That's fine, that's Lord Krishna's words, but it's quite basic. On a higher level of surrender, deprives you of everything. And Srila Prabhupada did say that that's what happened to him in the 50s, remember, in Vrindavan. I remember one devotee, the son of Padmanabh Goswami in Radharaman Mandir. He was very close to Srila Prabhupada. His son must be at least 17. And he told me when he was a boy, he could see Srila Prabhupada begging door in rag dhoti, begging food. So Srila Prabhupada apparently also touched bottom. People may say he's a beggar. He's finished. And look at the outcome. 50s, 66, 16 years later, look at the outcome. Look at the transformation. He conquered the whole world. So the same way here, Bali, who is this? Bound up, finished. So we should not judge by externals. We have to be very careful with this. We have to understand when someone gets the mercy of the Lord, it's beyond our purview. We cannot pass judgment. Someone is getting worked by Lord Krishna from inside, from outside. He may be losing stuff, maybe losing his reputation even. No, actually he's getting the mercy. And on the external we are thinking, oh, look at this guy. We have to be very careful. The devotee, as mentioned in that verse 10:14:8, Sattenu kampam susamik shamanu bhuyanevam kamipakam vidvagapudi vidadan namaste jivita mukti sadayava. Brahma is saying that. Even though it looks like this candidate is going through his karmic reactions, looks like, but actually, if that candidate reads Bhagavatam, he carries on serving Krishna, read with his heart, Vapu, body, Vapu, his words, then Mukti Pade Sadayavak, Mukti becomes its rightful claim. He is being depossessed, he is being humiliated, he is being thrown into the most abject condition. He's getting more mercy than you who is standing on the side and looking, living a cozy life. We have to be. We don't know how Lord Krishna works, but more Krishna is giving. More Lord Krishna is taking care of someone, whichever form it may take. More mercy that person is going to get. Apparently, it looks bad. No, it doesn't look bad. At the end of the day, we have seen our Srila Prabhupada succeeded tremendously, even beyond his own words. When you look at the book Hare Krishna Explosion, Hare Krishna Prabhu, 66, 69, Prabhupada said, even I didn't expect that. It exploded. Hare Krishna exploded. 66, 69. This is the key moment. Even Prabhupada was taken aback. So when the mercy falls down on someone, it's beyond one's expectation. So here, let's go back to today's verse. I was just giving a recap. So Brahma is speaking. This is very interesting. Brahma had appeared on the scene. So Brahma is not befooled by the situation. We may be befooled. Someone who is a layman may be befooled. Again, he's bonded, his wife humiliated him. Bali even, Vamdev told Bali, you don't keep your word, you didn't fulfill your promise. So it looks like he's chastised, lost everything. But Brahma appeared and is taking his defense. His defense. So this is very interesting. We should not defend ourselves. That's another lesson. My Guru Maharaj told me one day, never defend yourself. Never defend yourself. It's not easy. It's not easy. Because let's say you are doing something as best as you can, and people will find fault with you. Sometimes it happens, isn't it? And you're not guilty. But apparently, by some circumstances, people will finger point at you. He did it. So what should you do? I mean, human nature, I have to defend myself. As we say in French, it's legitimate defense. I have to defend myself. I'm not guilty. Mm-hmm. But this is a material conclusion, material kind of logic. It's not easy. Yeah? We should defend others, but we should not defend ourselves. This is the lesson. So what happened here? Bali Maharaj stopped. I mean, you can see his demeanor is perfect. First of all, he didn't I mean, he fulfilled his promise. We could say, well, he didn't keep his word. He kept his word because the third step of the Lord was on his head. So he fulfilled his promise. He didn't defend himself. So the situation has become so tight that Lord Brahma himself is coming. Mm-hmm. And what does he do? What does he do? He's speaking to Vamdev, obviously. Lord Vamdev is the Ishtadev. He's not going to speak to Bali. Bali is Vamdev. He's glorifying. First of all, this is the good etiquette. When you're going to say something to an authority, what to speak of the Lord, you don't start right on the discussion. It's going to glorify all well-wisher, all master of all living entities, all worshipable deity of all the demigods, etc. So he pleases the Lord, he soothes the Lord with beautiful words. Then his entreaty comes. What is his entreaty? Does he have to ask something for himself? Is Lord Brahma? He's got the whole Brahma, the whole universe. He's giving an entreaty for Bali. So this is another lesson. If we don't defend ourselves, someone is going to defend us.
Yeah.
And this is the point. If we don't defend ourselves, someone is going to defend us. We have to be, this is the faith. The faith should lie there. I should not defend myself. It's difficult. I'm not saying it's easy. It's difficult. Especially when you feel that I'm right. I mean, it happens to you. It happens to me. It happens to all of us. Krishna is very tricky. Krishna doesn't see the action, he sees the demeanor. The demeanor. What is his mentality? Lord Krishna, Bhavigrahi Janardhan. That's the name of Lord Krishna. Bhavigrahi Janardhan. He takes the Bhav. Janardhan. He possesses all the Jan, all the living beings. Janardhan. Bhavigrahi Janardhan. He takes the Bhav. So here, what is the Bhav of Bali? The Bhav is extremely high. He has a very good Bhav. He has a very good attitude. He has a very good mood. This is, regardless of his background, he's a Decha. Decha means demonic family, born of Diti, mother of Asuras. Who cares? Look at his Bhav. So Lord Brahma is stepping in. What does he say today? Bali Maharaj had already offered everything to your Lordship. Without hesitation, he has offered his hand, his land, the planets, whatever else he earned, including even his own body. So he's stepping in to defend Bali. Bali is taking in the situation. But he doesn't complain, he doesn't grudge. He's waiting for whatever mercy I get, plus I'm fine with that. So this is a very good attitude. That is why he has been promoted to the level of Mahajan. Because of Atma Nivedana, full surrender. And then Lord Brahma continues by offering even water, newly grown grass, flower birds at your lotus feet. Someone who has no mental duplicity. So this is, see, Lord Brahma is going into the nitty-gritty of the situation. He's telling him, look, he has fulfilled his promise, he has offered everything. Then he goes, no mental duplicity. No mental duplicity. In other words, I forgot the term, kapata, I think you say in Sanskrit, kapata. And this is very important. If you may be going through the motions of spiritual life, chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Mangalarati, but do you retain or maintain mental duplicity in your approach? You know what I'm saying? What is the color of your heart? You may be going through the motions year after year. But what counts is the inside, not the outside. Remember when the Prachitas were deep in water for 10,000 years, meditating on Lord Vishnu in the water. 10,000 years. What a feat. Lord Vishnu came down, Garud, inside the water. What is the first thing that Lord Vishnu told Prachitas? Yes?
I'm pleased by your cooperation.
Yes, very good. He didn't say, wow, I'm very impressed by your mystical feat. 10,000 years in the water, meditating on me. I'm very impressed. You didn't quarrel. 9 brothers. 10 actually. 10 Prachitas. 10 of you didn't complain for 10,000 years. I'm very impressed. So again, takes the mood. So here Brahma is telling no mental duplicity. So this Bali, my dear Lord, he has offered everything. How can it deserve to be bound up, to suffer from arrest? So we can see it was just a little lila. Apparently, for a little gap in the lila, he was bound up. But at the end of the day, it's like Yudhishthira Maharaj. Remember Yudhishthira Maharaj?
Mm-hmm.
What happened after the war? Remember? He ruled for 38 years, 36 years. So we could ponder. 514 million people died to re-enthrone one person, and that person only ruled 36 years. It's not worth it. So many people died. First of all, when you die on a battlefield, and Lord Krishna happened to be here, just imagine the promotion. Many of them, even the enemies, they ended up on Soyalok. What to speak of those who went straight to Garden on the battlefield. So, but look at the position of Yudhishthira. At one point, Lord Yudhishthira Maharaj lied. Remember? When Lord Krishna, because they had to kill Dronacharya. And Lord Krishna came up with the trick. Yudhishthira, Maharaj, you go. And you tell Drone that Ashvatthama is dead. How can I? No way. Because Yudhishthira's Dharmaraj is religion personified. He didn't. Ajatashatru. Not even his enemy is born. Can you imagine? Ajatashatru means his own enemy is not even born. People may consider Maharaj Yudhishthira their enemy, but he himself, he has no enemy. He's not even born. So, I mean, his reputation is spotless. He's son of Yamaraj, Dharmaraj. So when Lord Krishna told him, you go to Drone and you tell him Ashvatthama is dead. No way I can lie. So then they discussed, you say, Ashvatthama, the elephant is dead. So then Maharaj Yudhishthira did that. Ashvatthama, the elephant, is dead. So Drone, he didn't hear the elephant. He just heard the elephant. Ashvatthama is his son. So then he went into meditation and basically he left his body even before being killed. That is his power. So Maharaj Yudhishthira, because of that, I had to go to hell. But what kind of hell visit was that? We made ponder. The Maharaj practically took him by the hand. It's not like a regular sinner. Maharaj gave him a tour of the Narak. He gave him a tour. And so that was the total reaction for that little, because he didn't lie. So...
Hesitate to lie.
Sorry?
Because he hesitated to lie.
He hesitated to lie. So that tiny thing. So he had a tour of the hell. But he moved on. By the way, where are they, the Pandavas? You have seen, they are right on the bank of the Radhakund. You've been there. The 5 trees, only beam is left actually. You can see only the beam tree. But they are already in the spiritual world. So little step over in hell as a tool with Yamaraj himself. So in the same way here, it looks like he's being bound up. It looks bad. What did he do wrong? No, careful. He has his own planet, Sutal. Vamdev himself is his doorman. So don't judge by the externals. So much surrendered soul, Brahma had to step in, to intervene, to clear his name, to clarify his position. Yes, this person has no duplicity. Lord knew. Of course Lord Vamdev knows. But he wants his devotee to be protected by other devotees. This is the thing. He could protect. You can see in the Battle of Kurukshetra. what to speak if Lord Krishna had intervened in the battle. There's no battle. In one go finish. So he didn't intervene. He wants Arjuna, others, to fight for the good. And he wants, because he had this plan, I want you to get the credit, not me. So in the same way, he wanted Brahma to intervene to protect Bali. This is how it works. So it's an happy ending. It's an happy ending. In Krishna consciousness, it's always an happy ending. This is, even though it's midway, may look twice horrible and mind-boggling, and people will pass judgments, definitely. But at the end of the day, just like Krishna says in the last chapter of the Gita, Yatra Yogeshvara Krishna Yatra Padanuttaraha Tatra Shri Vichayubuti Juva Nitir Matir Mama. Wherever there is Krishna, Yogeshvara, Dhanurda, Arjuna, victory, morality, formidable might. It's bound to happen. So we should not be baffled midway or lose hope. It's a long haul, no doubt, it's a very long haul. But like my Guru used to say, it's not how we start, it's how we finish. And even though we may, one way or the other, may not make it in one life, what's the difficulty? 2 lives, 3 lives. At least we are properly situated. We are in the right place. We are part of the Lila of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we have to remember. It's a Lila happening here. Srila Prabhupada may be, how do you say? It's Lila, the Lila of Srila Prabhupada, this is Khan actually. May be compiled in the next Srimad Bhagavatam, next Dwapara Yuga. Remember, Bhagavatam is always compiled at the end of each Dwapara Yuga. But Bhagavatam is extensive. The Bhagavatam that we have here on this terrestrial plane is 18,000 shlokas. In other planes of existence, higher planetary systems, it's bigger. Ramayana is bigger, Mahabharata is bigger. You know the size of Ramayana on Brahmalok? 15 lakhs slope. 1 million pounds. So, I wouldn't be surprised that next Dwapara Yuga, when Lord Yasadev is penning Srimad Bhagavatam, he always pens 2 books, Srila Yasadev, Mahabharata and Srimad Bhagavatam. He may add it to the Prabhupada. In the previous Kali Yuga, we had this great Acharya. He came in full-fledged Kali Yuga to install Krishna consciousness. So we are within that Lila. So we should not be disheartened or disgruntled because we are in the Lila. Whatever the Lord does, especially through a pure devotee of the magnitude of Srila Prabhupada, it's Lila. It's Lila. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. I was not prepared because he gave me a different verse. Hare Krishna. Any questions? Yes, Prabhu?
I'd like to ask if it is possible for anybody to surrender at any time, or does it depend on the previous birth?
Yeah, everyone heard the question?
No.
Is there any prerequisite to surrender? Basically, that's what it is.
Yes.
No. There's no prerequisite. In Australia, Srila Prabhupada is giving the class, and Madhavendra Maharaj in those days, he asked, because in the back, public is asking questions, so Prabhupada couldn't hear. And the question was, how can we become purified? Same kind of question. What kind of adhikar do we need to chant Hare Krishna properly? How long does it take, basically? Mm-hmm. So, Prabhupada, with his big eyes, he said, 1 second. You should chant Hare Krishna purely. 1 second. There's no adhikar, there's no material logic. There's no material logic if you chant purely. There's one verse. No matter how much sin you perform, the head of sin you may have performed, it can be eradicated in one chanting of one name. Of course, provided you chant Shubhanam. Yeah. That's for sure. Yeah. But if you surrender today, look at Bali Maharaj. In one sense, Bali Maharaj was not ready he didn't expect to surrender. Did Bali Maharaj had some kind of sadhana bhakti? He was in Asura. He conquered the 3 worlds. Everything was going fine in his life. Then that bateau, that small brahmachari comes in, can have 3 steps. It's just, his life is just a little interlude, how do you say, a little tiny event that disrupted his whole life. Didn't expect the Lord's going to come and ask for 3 lands and I'm going to surrender at the end of the dinner. No. But he had a proper mental frame. What did he do? He could see, I'm losing things. So at least he had lots of, in one sense, I would say, he's a grandson of Prahlad. Mm-hmm. That's a big point. So if you're not a very good devotee, but your guru is good devotee, then you are in good shape. You may not be a good devotee, but you take shelter of someone who is a good devotee. You understand? So, okay, I'm not a very good devotee, okay, but we are surrounded with good devotees. What to speak of Guru? What to speak of Srila Prabhupada? So when you come to the spiritual world, who are you? Well, ISKCON, Srila Prabhupada. Okay, please come in. And Prabhupada used to say, I've got the back door key. So we don't, obviously, because we may say, well, I'm not fit to enter from the main gate, Vaikunth's main gate. But we are given a concession as ISKCON devotees, Videshi. We're not so advanced, perhaps. But Srila Prabhupada took heart to us. It took heart to the Videshis, to the Westerners, because they stepped out. They stepped out in the open, embraced Krishna consciousness wholeheartedly, even though they were awkward and clumsy, and made mistakes, blunders, even big blunders. But Srila Prabhupada, he took heart. He gave his heart to the Westerners. So we have this prerogative. We are like the last portion of humanity. We are in the gutter of material existence. So Prabhupada, he gazed at us, the Videshis, the Westerners. So on that basis, if we try our level best, back door of the spiritual world. So you can surrender today. But do we want to surrender? We want to half surrender, but do we want to fully surrender? Like that. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Yes, good Mr. Prabhu. Very governor. I was going to call it good nature Prabhu.
Just one reflection, like this age just after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is a particular hole in the whole line of different Kali Yugas. This Kali Yuga has a particular hole where the mercy of Lord Chaitanya can attract some souls and they enter, like you say, in the back door of the spiritual world. It is like a time of auction. Normally it's very expensive to buy your ticket. But this Kali Yuga, special reduced price for you. So it's not all Kali Yugas like that. This Kali Yuga is very particular because Krishna and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appears.
And
there is a whole, in the wall of the dirty things in the Kali Yuga, there is still one little window that will attract innumerable souls, and like you said, they will come like in a back door of the spiritual world, because normally you should pay much a higher price to come back.
Yeah, definitely. You very well put, Prabhu. We have Lord Krishna in a row, we have Chaitanya Prabhu, we have Srila Prabhupada. It's like a full package. Full package. And on top of that, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in this particular Kali Yuga is Avatari. In previous Kali Yuga is Avatar.
He's not Avatari.
He's Prema Avatari again. It's not Avatar, it's Avatari. Radhabhav Duti Suvaritam Nune Krishna Swarupa. I mean, Krishna Swarup, Radhabhav. So I mean, you can go higher than this. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.